Hello and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown, and with me for the very first time is our legendary lorekeeper. Say hi, legendary lorekeeper.
I don't know. Is there a legendary lorekeeper here? I'm just a random lorekeeper.
No, disagree. The legendary lorekeeper. People were so excited when I told them that I had scheduled an interview with you. So people like you.
Aw, I like people too. Thanks, guys. I'm Dani. Hello.
Thank you so much, Dani. This is so exciting. We're on the heels of the campaign 3 eight-hour finale for Critical Role. It's just a full work day that people had to clock in to watch.
That's totally what I kept saying. I was like, this is a work day. This is this is someone full, like this is their job. And then I remembered it was my job and that I had already worked that day. And so
no pressure.
It was 2 different shoots though, which was wild. I think it might be the first time we've ever split 2 shoots like that. Obviously, it was act of the gods. Lord of the Howls got really mad at Los Angeles. It was wild. It was, I think, I'm probably gonna say it wrong and then look back and be like, oh no, we did it back in this time and blah blah blah. But anyway, I'm pretty sure it was the only time we've ever had to split a shoot into 2 different days, especially a CR shoot.
I was in New York last week and I saw Bria at 20-Sided Tavern. One, she passes along her love, but two, no, there was a 2. We were talking about the finale, and she was like, yeah, that's crazy. And I was like, yeah, 8 hours is a long time.
It was so long. I felt so bad for our guests because they're not in the first half, but they were here for the shoot because everybody thought it was going to be the one shoot. And so they just sat there for the first half and then for break. And then we had to make them go home. And all of the founders, we were all just so like, I'm sorry. And everyone was so sweet, totally understood. But yeah, we just all felt so bad about it. But yeah, again, act of the betrayer gods, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's look, if the city's on fire, it's understandable. You're like, hey, we gotta call this one. We'll pick it back up later.
Fully. I'm just so glad that everybody was safe. I'm so glad that everybody was able to get home safe, and that even though a lot of us were affected by it, and it was really difficult, and there's still people who are rebuilding and everything that we know, and obviously across the entire SoCal area, I'm still glad that at least we did the right thing. We were able to get our people home to be able to take care of everything they needed to. We made the right call.
No, it's great. And also, I mean, obviously you also just had a massive fundraiser for helping folks. It was like 300,000. Like it was crazy.
I think the final number was something like 360 something. 360.
Wild. Yeah.
I don't remember. 358 or something like that. That actually makes me remember a really funny story that I don't know if I've ever told is that I almost exactly called the amount that we raised for the Kickstarter. When the Kickstarter started blowing all of our wildest expectations, we were like, what the heck? This is crazy. And I was like 11. I was like 11. We're gonna hit 11. And people were like, we're 11. And then we did. And I was like, so silly. Yes. Everybody, no one believed me, and I knew it. I felt it in my bones.
Yeah. Look, as the person who coined "Is It Thursday Yet?" you have a connection that, like, clearly you are embodying the spirit of Critical Role. Like, it makes sense.
I like that. I hope that I can, because I have a lot of faith put in me, based on how much Matt trusts me with the world, how much the founders trust me to be able to continue to guide the stories whenever they're only able to, like the ancillary stories, whenever they're only able to give it a little bit of themselves and everything. I really try. I try my best. Any kind of comic or novel or ancillary property that is, especially if it's written, that is my purview. Obviously, like Liam does so much work on them, and every founder who that's like their character, that's like their story, they obviously take the time with it. But a lot of faith is put in me to make sure that everything is in character and in world, and to help guide the writers and the artists on what makes the most sense. And so it's the amount of faith and the amount of trust is, there are no words to describe it. I'm so lucky, and I'm so proud and happy with the work that I've been able to do, and the trust and love. And so I hope that there is an instinctual level in which I'm tapped into the flow, because that makes me feel like I do a good job.
I mean, yeah. So I have a confession to make. I'm about 130 episodes behind. I'm on 132 of campaign 2.
Oh, so
So
you're
like,
in? Are you in Isocross, or did you just go back to Rexentrum?
oh no, I
I
don't.
think you might be in like the cat and mouse area. I don't remember.
Yes, yes. That is where we're at. But in 130, it was very fun because in 131, there's a great moment where I don't remember what happens, but Matt goes, "I don't give a shit. That's Danny's problem." Um, and like I was listening to it on the plane last week, and I was like, I got an interview with Danny next week. This is
That's
such a funny
so
timing
funny.
to hit.
I do remember that. I also don't remember the context, but I do remember
Yeah.
like listening, because at the time we were.
I know what the context is. It's when Yasha goes up against like the Storm Lord, and then afterwards Laura's like, "Can I have actually done something before that?" And like, and then keeps trying to do things prior to it, and then they're like, "Matt, is this gonna mess you up?" And that's when he's like, "I don't give a shit."
That's one of those situations where I'm like, I know, when I'm writing the recap, and I'm like, I know that this happened an hour later, but it makes more logical sense to talk about it now. So we're just gonna move this paragraph here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's all good. Though anytime they yell out to me or talk to me, or like, I'm texting Danny, I'm on a slight delay when I'm watching. And so half the time, whenever they're already like, when they're talking about the thing, I'm already like on my other screen, like trying to find whatever the answer is, just in case. And that way, if somebody messages me because I'm on that delay, I can hopefully be like, I'm already on it, or something like that, and then I can give them the answer much faster. And sometimes like certain things like take a while to find. Like I had to, spoilers for close to the finale. No, it was the finale. I had to find the amount of wild shapes that Fern had left. And that one I was like, oh my god, okay, hang on. It was like combing through like everything we'd done, and like word searching my notes and everything like that. So but we did it. We made it.
Yeah. I mean, so before we started, you said your notes are not like a magical tome that is much more straightforward. Can you tell us about the note taking process?
It is truly Google Docs and me against the rest of the world. We have been starting to use Confluence, which is this like kind of wiki site that kind of helps you organize like notes, and allows you to share with people like certain pages and certain areas, and like helps you search and things like that. I just did a terrible job of explaining it. There are lore keepers out there who are like Confluence experts, and if they watch this, they're going to be like, that is the worst way to explain that, and I'm so sorry. But it's actually my junior lore keeper, Jared Darrow's purview. And he has been working, he's been doing an incredible job of backfilling Confluence and trying to get really good at it. And now I'm still in like Google Doc hell, because that's just what I do. And like now that we have C3 over, I think I can finally start to slowly change the process, and like bring him in more with taking notes with me, and us figuring out a good flow so that we can rely on each other. That isn't just one of us fully tanking an episode and then having to disseminate and all of that. So we're figuring that part out. But yeah, it really is. I sit there and I watch the episode and I write down everything. I've gotten a good ear over the years that I've been doing this, to know, based on how they work, what each player does, and the entire story as a whole to be able to usually zero in on what's important. So I won't do like Caleb walked to the room and got out his component bag or something like that. Like it'll just be Caleb, you cast this spell. And even then, if it's a spell that isn't going to be if it's not a big deal thing, I'll skip it. It's very much a level of refining and knowing how a story plays out, especially in our world, that helps guide what I know to write down and what I know is okay to skip. And then there's times where I just write rewatch in all caps and I just keep going. Because it's like, okay, I can't, this is going too fast. There's too much lore. I need to be able to write everything down and everyone's talking too quickly and I can't keep up. So it's just like, we're just going to rewatch this whole chunk. And then once I'm able to jump back into the notes, I'll keep going. And then the next day, once I get the line cut from our amazing editors, I'm able to hop back in and I actually go back and rework what that section was that I listened to and wasn't able to write.
Yeah. How much of that has changed since moving from live recording to pre-taped, or is it still basically the same process?
It's pretty much the exact same process. It was actually harder back whenever we were live because I didn't have as much of that time to really take the time to get the notes accurate before I had to then immediately recap it. So being able to like get the notes right helps the recaps be as accurate as I can make them. But now sometimes we'll shoot multiple times a week, so I have less of a time to get them accurate before I send them to the cast. So sometimes I have to be like, caveat, spellings aren't correct, or like I missed a couple moments. So if there's anything specific you're looking for that isn't in here, please just message me and I'll go back and I'll find it. So like if we have a shoot on Tuesday and then another one on Thursday, it's like I only had a day to be able to go back and like correct something. So yeah, it is the kind of thing where sometimes I have to get the cast to tell me if they're looking for something specific, and then I have to make sure that it's either in the notes or that I can at least answer the question or something.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be, I mean, obviously, like, the shoots are long, normally not 8 hours.
No.
Like I said, I'm in campaign 2. There is an episode where they roll a dragon. It's a 5-hour episode. Like, it's just like where when I opened up Spotify and I was like, oh no, I don't have time. I have a 3-year-old. Like, I don't have time for a podcast that's 5 hours now. This is going to take me a week. Hence why every week I just fall so much further behind. But
I totally get it.
Yeah. I mean, what is that like? I mean, obviously there's so much dense information coming at you, and so much like, because it's such a different, lore keeping is such a different than like, normal jobs, I think is a fair way to say it. Because like it's collaborative world building that's happening in front of you, and your job is to make sure it's right. Like how is the question? How?
The way that I approach it, I love this question. I love just being asked how. That's my favorite. The way that I approach it is, I grew up wanting to be a historian. I both wanted to be an actor and I wanted to be a historian. So I really loved just like dense text and things like that. And the way that I approach it is that I am watching the history being made. They are writing the textbook that I am essentially scribing. And so I kind of consider myself a little bit of Dodie, and just like frantically scribbling down the autobiography of Tyrion Darrington. But it is the kind of thing, again, you develop that ear, and you learn how to know, like, is this important or is this them being goofy for 20 minutes? And it's like, okay, or them going on a thing and it's like, okay, what is it that what's the actual goal? What's the actual, and the journey there, even though I'm a big proponent of the journey is more important than the destination, it's the opposite for lore keeping. The destination is the thing that is important. And there can be stops in the journey to the destination that become important. Like, like, you know, Laudon and Imogen's ring that happened there, or like, or, you know, just other things that are happening and like around them going somewhere or doing something. But at the end of the day, it's still like, but they do get there. And the important thing is that they got to the destination or they completed the objective. And so you can kind of figure out what is, and as you're listening and you're focused on like, okay, this is their point. This is what they're trying to do. These tangents can be, you can figure out which ones are higher priority and which ones are lower priority. And again, it's all about like knowing like, okay, certain cast members are going to focus entirely on like this aspect, or certain cast members are going to be more here for like mostly telling a joke because we're in like this. Like if there's a shopping episode, I know that Travis isn't going to be a huge part of it. So I could almost not tune him out, but I can take the things that he is saying is in his character in that moment with a little bit less of my full focus. Unless he suddenly is like, and then I'm going to go be a werewolf and attack the shopkeeper while everybody else is doing something else. And then I'm like, okay, fuck, that threw out everything. So it's really a matter of staying frosty. And just staying on your toes the whole time. It's a lot of effort, especially when live, keeping track of things. I think the only thing that's really similar to it is I would probably say script supervision. In movies, like whenever you're watching the shooting of something and you're like tracking cigarettes, or just tracking and making sure that like whenever somebody moves to the side, it matches what they should be doing in the script. Or if they say something but they slightly flub the line, you make the note of like he gave an A instead of a V. So if we cut from the other side and we need to be able to match it exactly, he said an A instead of a V here. And so that's the only thing I can think of that is as similar to the process, because you just have to stay on top of every single word. But again, you develop that ear and you figure out when you can go back on the balls of your feet and when you need to be back up on tiptoes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, it's very fun you mentioned Dodie, and because I got to be, I live in Austin, Texas, and that meant I went to the Darrington Brigade live show in Austin, however many years ago that was.
Lifetime.
Yeah.
2019.
It had to have been. It was pre-2020. Yep.
I think it was 2019. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Completely different person.
Yeah. My hair was so much darker.
You were in your John Oliver. You were in your John Oliver stage.
Yes.
Right. Fresh face.
Yeah. But like, what's it like for you? I'm assuming like you're traveling to live shows because there's still canon events that are happening, or are you watching them afterwards to try and like scribble furiously?
For live shows, sometimes I go, not as much anymore, actually. Because I used to go to all the live shows back when I was the production coordinator. And then back when I was kind of wrangling both jobs, and I wasn't the lorekeeper yet because we didn't have that title. And I was kind of doing both jobs where I was keeping track of all of the production elements and meals and crews and everything like that, and schedules, while also keeping track of all of the lore. Not a good thing to have, being two jobs. Not great. And so I would go to all of the live shows because of the production coordinator aspect of it. But one of the things that we have been able to do through the magic of technology is send out a stream link. So I'm usually able to either watch the stream as it's happening, even if we aren't streaming out. And it's just like a private stream. It's terrible quality. Like I hope people don't listen to this and are like, why don't they broadcast it? You don't want that. You don't want that. It's horrible. But the point is that I'm able to watch it. I'm able to take notes from home, or I'll get up the next day and watch it back or something like that, and then take notes, which honestly is more common because there are certain times when we can't send out a stream link and stuff like that. But again, then our amazing editors will. I cannot espouse enough how incredible our editing team is. Like they turn these line cuts around of these like 4 to 5 hour long episodes around within 24 hours, and everybody suddenly has the line cut, and that's when I'm able to go back and either take the notes from the beginning or go back and listen to certain moments and everything. Like they're an incredible and a team of amazing people. But that's a lot of the situation with live shows. And lately, a lot of our live shows have been kind of side canon. As we've gotten back into it, like we had the Daggerheart Christmas, the Daggerheart holiday show, and then we had I am blanking on all of our live shows, but a lot of them have been kind of side canon or a little bit less, or like with a little bit lower stakes. So it's less imperative that I watch it live, because a lot of the things that I'm doing while I'm watching live is being there for the cast, to be able for them to Slack me, to be able for the Slack being for them to be able to message me and go, I don't know what he's talking about. What was this thing? Who is this guy? Or things like that. Like I was on hand for the charity stream that we were talking about, and Sam at one point messaged me, and he was in Imogen's body, and he had all of her powers, and he was like, if I summon a Rylora, who should I summon? And he was like, just give me any Rylora. And I was like, Gaztomo. You summon Gaztomo, obviously. He's this huge Patrick Warburton Kronk alien, and he's incredible. But it's things like that. It's even when they're low stakes or if they're high stakes, like a lot of the times the cast is asking me for either a reminder or just a like, wait, how many days has it been since we did this? Or just like, do you know if I used this spell yet or not, or this feature that I didn't click, and so I don't want to use it and realize that, oh fuck, I used it last session, I just forgot to hit the button, or something like that. And so it's just a lot of, again, just kind of staying on your toes, staying ready to answer anything, and hopefully not be wrong.
Yeah, because Critical Role fans,
live shows are just kind of a by kind of a take it as each one comes sort of situation. I'm hoping to be in New York for the Ford and Jester wedding though, so hopefully I'll be there for that one. But we will see. It'll all depend.
Man, they got to bring you out for that one. It's such a special show.
It is.
Speaking of Travis not shopping, Travis not romancing, and now we've got a full Ford and Jester wedding. Like,
I love it.
It's character growth, human being growth. I don't know what it is.
It's such a testament. I always thought I did always love the Ford and Jester relationship because of the meta, because of like, oh, I just think that it's really sweet that to see like this couple that is that exploring playing a relationship and everything. Like I fell in love with my wife through us world building together and creating characters and things like that. And that was literally how like we flirted and how we realized that we had feelings for each other and everything. And so I at the time I just thought that it was so sweet, and I just thought that it was such a recognition of how strong two people's bond can be, that they're able to sort of free fall like that, and know that the other person is going to take care of them. And yeah, I think that it allows you to sort of open yourself up to all sorts of different role-playing dynamics and storytelling dynamics. At the end of the day, the cast are storytellers, and the story is the thing that they want to the story is the thing that matters most, and they want to make something that feels tight and complete and satisfying. And if it hadn't made sense, if it hadn't been satisfying for a specific, at least for them to go down a specific relationship path or a specific, or make a certain choice and stuff like that, then nobody else's opinion is ever going to be able to influence that. It's like there's nothing that anyone could have said or done, because at the end of the day, it is their character, it is their story, and they will be the ones who figure out and know innately what they want to do, either in the moment or either through thinking about it for months. They're the ones who find it, and anybody else can make jokes or talk and be like, you should do this, or this would be fun or something. And at the end of the day, we all know that they're going to do what feels right to them. And it's a good thing and it's a beautiful thing. And I say all the time that the beauty and the joy of Critical Role is in the magic that those people make together at the table. They say that the dice tell the story, and I think it's that the story tells the dice. It is the magic of that story that they create that allows the roles and the passion and the creation that they are all able to do together. It is a symbiotic relationship. And I swear, every Thursday you watch magic happen. And if you didn't know I was a witch. But yeah, it's I think that it is one of the, I think stories are some of the truest examples of magic in the world, and I think that what they do is pure sorcery at its finest.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so beautiful. And you thought you weren't going to have anything beautiful and wonderful to say. Nonsense. You talked about like being a historian, and sometimes people come in and are dealing with actual history of the world, the fictional world. But like what is it like when someone like Brennan is coming in and is like hopping into Calamity, Divergence, etc.? Like how different is that for you in terms of? I mean, I assume he's got a good handle on it, but like also he is diving into a world that is not his own.
Yeah. He is incredible, first of all. But he also is very much, he is amazing. He includes me from almost the very beginning. And is like, here's where I'm going with this. Here is my idea. Here's what is happening. He usually has his talks with Matt, and the two of them together will figure out like the basic kind of thought process behind what the story is. Obviously, if Matt's in the game, then Brennan will keep certain details to himself, and kind of like pull back on certain things. But they'll get a kind of a bird's eye view of like, here's what's going on. Here is the context that I can give you. Here's what the divergence is. Here's what the calamity is. That sort of thing. And then I'm able to come in and sort of help him throughout the rest of the process. And I can guide him on vestiges. I can guide him on what God was doing, what, when, what's fluid, that's the nice thing about the past in Exandria is that a lot of it is things that we only kind of know. Like we know that there was a battle where the Archart shot out the Ruiner's Eye. When did it happen? Sometime in these century of wars. These centuries of war. There we go. I found words. And so it's little things like that where we know pieces, and then we can start to make a timeline based on what was said when, based on the implications of things being alluded to when, and we can figure out, is that an illusion of foreshadowing, or is that because that happened yesterday? And so we're able to kind of, the three of us, Brennan and Matt and I, will kind of weave our way and through. Like for Divergence, we had to figure out the timeline of the calamity. We're like, okay, well, which gods got banished when? We know the Spider Queen started it. We know Lord of the Halls was last. And so, started it. She was banished first. You know what I mean? But we were like, okay, everybody else is kind of just in there. And so we had to go on that journey and really just kind of figure out like, okay, it would make sense that it was Crawling King next. It would make sense that it was then this, I don't have it in front of me, but the Cloaked Serpent, then the Ruiner. I think I flipped those, but whatever. But anyway, so we were able to figure out like the order, so that the one thing that I always like to say is that I need you to know the rules so that you can break them. Because what I'm doing is making sure that all of the threads come together. They're focused on these three. These big three are the ones that have to make sense. I can focus on the rest of it and make it all weave in together and make the lore make sense, because like, okay, that can link here, that can link here, that can link here. All of this is a cloud, so that cloud can move in through the threads. You can tell I talk with my hands. But yeah, so it's really it's one of those things where when we need the connecting threads is when I'm able to really come in and offer the context, offer the, it would make sense for this to be this god because we know that this battle happened and things like that, when the big thread is why that coal must fall or something like that. There are spoilers all throughout this thing. I am so sorry for anyone, including you, Jordan, who are behind.
Look,
Talking to the
I
lorekeeper.
chose to schedule this, so
but yeah, so it's a matter of guiding and not dictating. The way that I'm actually very adamant that I am a lore keeper and not a lore master. To me, a lore master is somebody who knows everything, who is able to, and also is able to like to me, Matt is the lore master. I am a lore keeper. I am the keeper of knowledge because the knowledge is not my own. And I keep it safe. I make sure that it makes sense. And I make sure that it is disseminated correctly. And then when I get new information, that then is added, that then is rearranged, that sort of thing. And so it's important to me to be able to go with the flow, kind of like what I said earlier, being able to say, okay, this is the new canon. This is, even if it contradicts something, well, we get to now do the fun part, which is figure out how it works. Or I message somebody, the person who changed it, and be like, you have to pick one. I'm sorry, both of these things cannot be true. Which one? It's okay if we say that both of them are true. One of them has to be true, though. So you need to. And that's only happened a few times, but usually involving like dates or something like that, or or just like or like Tusk Love, for instance. Laura kept forgetting what the name of the main female character was, and I finally had to message her and be like, "What is her name?" It is a written book. There can only be one name.
Yeah, it's fine if Jester doesn't remember, but
exactly.
we as the audience
have
to know
that Jester doesn't remember. She's focused on Oscar.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny. But when we were working on Tusk Club and everything, I was like, you have to pick one name. What is the name? Things like that. Where even then, I think we even originally had an idea. I think we ended up dropping it for the actual book, but we had an idea that she took the second name as like a road name to kind of like hide her identity. And that was one of the reasons why Jester kept forgetting which one it was. But then when we started working on the actual book with the incredible Thea Guanzon, then I was like, that's not a big deal. We don't need to try to work that in. Jester can just it's okay. But yeah, so it all works out at the end of the day. Because Matt is such a fantastic storyteller and Brennan is such a fantastic storyteller. They're both so good at. Matt is really good at flying the plane and leaving all of these breadcrumbs and all of these things that people can pick up and decide that this means this, or this means this, or this happened here. And then Brennan is incredible at landing the plane, at saying, all right, I see your breadcrumbs, and now I'm going to pick up these, and these are the ones that are going to matter, and these are the ones that are going to carry us forward. And so, and Abria is so incredible at being able to weave in the character study of what these breadcrumbs then are. And then Liam is incredible at being able to just bring it all together in this just like detailed tapestry and be able to make you feel like you were just living in it and breathing it. And I'm just so impressed with all of the incredible people we have brought in to be able to GM in Exandria and be able to weave these stories together, because every single person has left their mark on this world, and that was always Matt's intention. Whether it's through GMing or being a player character, he wanted it to be a place that is not just his. It is a place that is built on collaboration. It is built on learning and figuring things out together and not knowing exactly where the story ends. Having an idea, but not knowing exactly what the puzzle's going to look like. And even though it's like, oh, you know that it's going to be a cabin in the woods, but what does that cabin look like? what are the details? What are the what kinds of trees? Is there a path that leads to the cabin? Is this a beautiful cabin? Is this a rickety one? What is what is the picture going to show us? What other secrets are there? And at the end of the day, you get this incredible puzzle and you get this beautiful piece of art. And so many people made their mark on it. So many people were able to come in and add, whether it's a tiny piece or whether it's a whole corner, whether it's the biggest centerpiece of the puzzle. Still, so many hands touched it, and that is what Exandria is, and that's what Exandria will always be.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You mentioned like having like Matt having that like overarching like idea of like where things are going to land. Is there something that like a really great secret that you had beforehand that you were waiting for, like a cast reveal or even like an audience reveal that like you knew coming up, like, oh, this is a thing that's coming up and I can't wait for the table reaction to it?
I knew that Chetney was a werewolf. So like the whole production team knew, because obviously we had to do like all of the art for it. We had to like be ready with graphics and stuff like that. So we all knew that Chetney was a werewolf. Nobody else knew that Chetney was a werewolf. And so we were all just waiting and with bated breath. Every time we thought that he was getting close to like doing the reveal, we were all just like, oh, is it time? Is it time? There was even a moment in one of the episodes where Liam made a joke that Travis had missed out on the opportunity to be a gnome werewolf. And we were all just backstage just like, make no noise. Make no noise. But then finally that reveal hit and everyone is just so blown away and excited. And in the back, we're all just like fist pumping and it's incredible. I don't want to give any spoilers for EXU Divergence, but there are some twists and turns in that I was privy to, and I am so excited for people to see.
It's very big.
Divergence is just one of the most beautiful things that I think we've made. And I'm so proud of the entire team, for Brennan and Matt and the entire cast and the entire production team, especially producer Kyle Shire, who poured his heart and soul into making this project incredible. And I don't even want to talk about it because I'm just like, no, you have to watch it first. You have to know. You have to feel it.
Fair. One of the things that I love, we'll stay on Brennan, I guess. We'll talk about Calamity. We can move Divergence to the side. One of the things that I love about Calamity, well, two things. One, Lou knowing Brennan so well that like there's a moment where like Brennan's pulling a Brennan move and like other people at the table are like waiting for it, and Lou's up pacing around the room.
Yeah, Lou already knows what's coming.
Yeah. Also, Lou and Luis not knowing the lore, my favorite thing in the world. When like Ravon Soul shows up and they're like, what's going on? And like Abria and obviously your main cast members like are like locked in. It's so excited. And Lou and Luis are just like, who is this? It's just as lorekeeper, how is that delightful for you as well? Of just like
much fun. It's so much fun. I'm a little gremlin, and because I love knowledge. I've always said that if I was an actual person in D&D, that I would be a knowledge cleric, because I love knowing things, and I love having the information, and so being able to watch the reactions of people, like Travis is always with me the whole time, because a name will drop and he and I will both go, and like he'll do it at the table and I'll be doing it at my desk 12 seconds behind, and on my little delay, and then other people will. So usually like Marisha is next, or if it had something to do with Legend of Vox Machina, Sam is next. And then waiting for everybody, for the shoe to drop, for everybody else is figuring out, wait, I know this person. Sam going, I don't know anything about this. I don't watch our content. He does. Sometimes. But so figuring out all of these, just seeing the again, those breadcrumbs, those things that were dropped and that were mentioned vaguely in episodes or campaign guides past, that then now are this huge part of the story that we're telling that they are telling together, and that we are so lucky to be able to be part of in our own way. And it is always my favorite thing, either when someone doesn't know or when someone does know, and everybody else starts to slowly pick up the thread, and then somebody else is like, I don't know what's happening, and then you have the like behind the hand whispers of like, this is who this is and stuff like that. And I'm like over in Slack like screaming and being like, and nobody sees it for another hour, and then they laugh. But yeah, so like people know that I'm in Slack. Some fans know that I'm in there and I'm saying things, and 90% of the time, unless they are actively seeking to ask me a question, they have no idea that I've said anything. So it's mostly just a little channel where I'm just like, because I'm sitting by myself behind my desk with my headphones on, and I'm like a little like corner, just like a little corner witch, just like desperately trying to keep track of everything, and my brain is ticking along 90 miles a second, and just trying to make sure that all of this makes sense while also still feeding the fan side of myself that still just loves watching this magic it created. And going, oh my god, they're talking about Vespen Chloris. Oh my god, that's Vespen Chloris's book, and stuff like that.
That's so good. Yeah, oh no. What just happened?
Oh no, I gotta freeze. I hope it's not me. Oh no! I'll wait. We're still recording, so I'm gonna do a dance. Don't know if I should leave, but I'm gonna vibe. Maybe this can be bloopers. I don't know. I'm gonna.
Hello?
Hi!
I don't know what just happened.
Good. I did a dance.
Great.
So, you know.
Hey, great news. When it crashed for me, it said recording is continuing normally. So
yes, I noticed that, and I was like, I'm just gonna dance,
great.
And maybe we can use this for bloopers.
Perfect.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna vibe.
That's never happened to me before, so that's a fun one. I did have a thing though. Okay. You said you're a witch. You mentioned a werewolf. Talk to me about the witch wolf.
Oh my god, I didn't expect you to talk about it. Okay, so The Witch Wolf is a webcomic that I make with my wife. I write it, and she does all of the art. And when I say all of the art, they do it all. I am not an artist in any way. Sometimes I will make little, sometimes I'll make little like layouts where it is just stick figures and big bulbous heads, and just be like, I think that they're in a tree, and this is a tree, and they're looking down, and there's a big umbrella and things like that. And they will take it and be like, okay, I get it. And then continue on and make it actual beauty. And, but yeah, so we make that together, and it is such a dream little project. We've always wanted to, everything I make is in some way about love and romance. I mean, some way is about love and magic, because I think that they're the most interesting things that the world has to offer. And I think that they are reflections of each other. And so being able to make something about witches and werewolves and vampires, and how the world is this incredible cycle of nature and life and death and things like that is incredibly fulfilling for me. And to be able to work on it with my favorite person in the entire world is just
not bad. Yeah. Folks want to find The Witch Wolf. Where can they find it?
You can find it at thewitchwolf.org. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/thewitchwolf, if you want to get behind the scenes info. But the whole comic is uploaded for free on thewitchwolf.org. It is just a little Tumblr, and makes it easy to link out and be able to find as quickly as possible. We have about a chapter and a half up right now, so we're still very early. The story is still building, but there's very exciting things to come. You got to be patient whenever a webcomic is first starting, because we gotta lay all the chess pieces out. We're still building the board. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
As the lore master of the world, you gotta build it.
Exactly. It's fun. It's really fun because I get to make something that is that is mine. And well, ours. So much of it is Bree's as well. It's why I always say it's created by both of us. Yes, I'm the one putting the words on the paper, but it is very much our story together. And it is so fun to be able to take all of these things that I've learned from my own story background, from my own life, and then also the way that I have learned to tell stories from being just surrounded by the greats, and be able to make something that is entirely my own and has my own spin on it. And I continue to have these little love letters that I get to write to, again, my favorite person. And at the end of the day, it is just us telling each other a story, and making and hoping that other people want to enjoy it too.
It's lovely. I love that so much. Look, transitions aren't my strong suit. We're diving back to Critical Role. I just wanted to make sure we talked about the Witch Wolf.
Oh, you're so kind. I love it. It's so much fun to make.
Yeah.
And I hope that people who go on that journey with us enjoy it as well. But yeah, back to
do you have a favorite obscure call out that is off the top of your head?
Oh my goodness. That's so hard to think of. It's like when somebody asks you your favorite movie and you're like, in this exact moment, I've never seen any.
I've never seen a single movie. This is my first time thinking about Critical Role. Oh no.
I've never even thought about them. No, my brain is on Calamity right now. So there were a lot of really great ones in that.
Then let's do Calamity.
I really loved if Dominus is the smile of Exandria, then we shall shatter her teeth. I don't know if that was super obscure, but it made me happy. But there's I loved whenever we didn't know that it was Pervon yet in Calamity, and we just saw the wolf, and I was like, I know that wolf. And it's always little things like that, where it's just these little like little Easter eggs where I'm a lot of times it's like it's really minor stuff. It's like, and then golden threads, and I was like, golden threads, oh my god, basically, or just silly things, and then half the time I'm wrong, and I'm like, oh, it was nothing. Sometimes I get like, I'll get excited. I'll be like my dog and just be like, and then it's like, no, we're not going anywhere. I'm just going to the bathroom. Nothing's happening. It's like, oh, okay.
No, this was.
I'm just gonna.
They just have fancy clothes with golden thread in them.
I was like, oh, never mind. I'm silly. But yeah, it's Scott. It's so hard to pick. We'll end the conversation and then I'll like email you and be like, I had all these other good ones. But yeah, it's that's the thing about Exandria is I love just seeing all the ways that we can just drop little, the way I like describing it as like little whiffs of like a scent and things like that, where it's like, oh, I've suddenly remembered that there's sweet pea in this perfume because I just caught a scent of it. Like, even though the overwhelming note is oak moss or something like that, there's also this other scent in there, and you just get that little bit of like, oh yeah. And things that it all just reminds you that you're in this bigger world, and there's a lot of pieces at play to make the story the experience that you're having now.
Yeah, that's super fun. Yeah. Did I ask you what a lorekeeper is? Did I wait till the very end of the interview to find out what your job is? Probably. It was at the top of my notes and I just skipped right past it.
I love that. That's perfect. The way that I describe it is a fantasy historian. It is someone who we're keeping track of a world that is not our own and a world that is being written, and trying to make sense of a world that isn't real requires a lot of work, because you're trying to keep the events in mind and knowing that time has to keep moving forward, because like a lot of people, like, when they realize that Exandria is technically a post-apocalyptic world, their minds are blown, and they're just like, what? And it's like, yeah, the Age of Arcanum was a big deal. It was the magic, the flying cities, and mages and wizards were just doing all of the things. There were TVs, y'all. And now like we're back to peasant blouses and bows and arrows and things like that in modern day Exandria. And not that a peasant blouse is ever out of fashion for me. But yeah, so it's the sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, we had all of this massive shift, but all of it is just this one guy telling us that. It's not that these things actually happened. So in a way, when Brennan comes in and takes care of the past and works on the past for us, he's able to help solidify what I do. And I'm excited for him to tell me what these things mean. When I say, well, we know that these battles happened, he's like, great, we're going to figure out what all of those words mean. I'm like, yeah, we have 12 words about this battle. Make it a thing. And I'm literally mean we have 12 words. That's what we've got. But yeah, it's 100% just, it's trying to keep track of a world where there is one primary source. And that's all you've got. And you are trying to make sense of a world that has gods and has it has bakers, and all of these people matter and all of these events matter. And even when we have them written down, and even when the stories have been told, you can have a campaign 3 where we go back and we say, but what if there was another side? What if what has been told to us was wrong? And that is something that I find so incredibly fulfilling about the job, is being able to look at everything from multiple perspectives, and having Matt build that in inherently of like, I'm going to tell you something, but it's also possible that you're only getting it from this one perspective. It's also possible that you're only hearing it from this one account, and maybe that account is wrong. And it both makes the world feel more alive to me, because I mean, good God, how often do we experience that in the world we live in? I mean, that's just a human condition, but human experience. But it also makes it a lot easier to sometimes be like, well, these two things don't make sense together, and then Matt will just be like, then one of them was wrong, and it's like, great, that is much better. But yeah, that's the way that I describe it, is it is somebody who is just trying to keep track of a history that is being written and basically in front of them. So I always tell them, like, it's kind of the spiel I always give to our guests who come in, and I can tell they're like really nervous because there's so much lore, and I'm like, don't worry, that's my job to worry about. Your job is to tell me what this character does. Your job is I think the way that I described it to Jasmine and Celia was, your job is to focus on making this constellation with us. And there's going to be a lot of other stars, but you're drawing the constellation, and you get to figure out how that looks in our starscape. And don't worry about what all the other stars are doing. I'm focused on yours. And it's such a joy to get to help weave in all of the ends to make the picture clear to everybody else, because you've all these differing personalities and differing views and everything like that, and then you're able to go in and make it clear and understandable, and hopefully make sure that everybody can see the whole picture, even if they interpret it in different ways.
Yeah.
Because that's what art is. It is meant to be created, and then it is meant to be interpreted, and you are meant to take whatever you take from it.
How dare you be so beautiful about this? This is a delight. Yeah, it's super fun. Obviously, like, such an interesting concept of a job that obviously didn't exist 5 years ago. Like, I mean, whatever. Yeah, like,
for CR, definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't get the role of lorekeeper until 2020, I think. I have chronic illness, and so me being in the studio whenever we were undergoing all of our COVID precautions was really, really unsafe for me. And that was sort of the kick in the butt to be like, okay, well, we still need all of this lore kept, but we need a production coordinator who can be in the studio and things like that. And so they were like, well, we have been wanting to make this lorekeeper job for Dani, so let's do that now. And that way she can focus on that, and then we can have a new person, our incredible Jeremiah Rivas, come in and be able to take care of things in the studio, and then we don't have this poor one person trying to split their mind. And because those two jobs do not go together.
No, that's such a similar skill set, but yes, like you don't need like thinking production and thinking world building.
Yeah, it was a lot. But then like, and I'm so delighted to be part of a class of people, not a class, but an occupation of people who have been making waves in lorekeeper industry for years and years and years. Leland Chi over at Star Wars, and all the people at Blizzard, all of the people in so many different aspects all across the industry who for, years and years, who have made sure that we're all able to hold on to these stories that mean so much to us. I am honored to be able to add my name to to all of the work that has been done before, all of the work that will come after, because we're all just trying to make sure that art piece can be read and enjoyed by everyone who wants to see it.
Absolutely incredible. I can't think of a better place to end. Dani, if folks want to find you on the internet, it'd be wild if they're following me and not you, but if they do, where can they find you?
First, I want to say thank you so much, Jordan. This was fantastic. You can find me over on Instagram at this Dani Carr, and then on Blue Sky at It's Dani Carr, and Tumblr also at It's Dani Carr. So I'm either a this or I'm an it's, and then my name. You never go wrong with either with one of the two.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's the easiest place.
Amazing. And yeah, check out the recaps. People, whenever I tell people I'm so far behind, they're like, just watch the recap. And I'm like, I'm gonna catch up. Just give me 5 years and then I'll be at campaign 3 finale and you'll be 700 hours more content that I'm behind on. But
it'll be great.
Yeah.
I love that you think it'll only be 700.
Yeah, you're right.
No, it'll be that's what I love about the recaps, is that I like that they're there as helpful aids, but they're never going to replace watching it for yourself. And I never want them to. I want them to be able to be useful, obviously, and so make sure that as much of the information as I can get across is there. But I'm never going to be able to explain this, to be able to describe magic the way that Liam O'Brien does. And that's not what you're coming to a recap for anyway. You just want to know that they survived the battle. But yeah, so it's really good for the people who are not hours and hours and hours behind. It's better. Obviously, they want to catch up, but hopefully I can be a good reminder, and hopefully I can be a good, oh, you missed the episode, but that's okay. You're going to watch it later. Just read the recap, and then you'll be able to watch it live tonight with your friends or something. Or by yourself.
Amazing. Dani, thank you so much. This has been an absolute delight. I don't know how to end interviews. I don't know how to end an interview, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.
I love it. Thank you, Jordan.